Hello everyone, welcome to the new video. And today again we will discuss some DevOps interview question. And these questions, some questions I got in comment section, and so those were interesting. So I picked it up and let's discuss them. So I'll give all the questions in description section also. So please refer to the question from there too. So first I'll jot down first all the questions and then we'll go to the solution. So first question is, how will you integrate Ansible in your application? Like, this was a question and this is an important question. Like, interviewer may ask that how have you integrated Ansible in your application? Second question is the disaster recovery. If you have mentioned or if you know anything about disaster recovery, interviewer may ask that what have you done or what do you know about it. So yeah, we'll discuss that as well. Then the most interesting question that interviewers mostly ask, that how have you configured ingress in your Kubernetes? How have you configured ingress? Then a next question is that if you have used Ansible, what have you used for error handling? Like, how have you handled errors? Like, if something, while, because you are doing configuration on multiple servers, right? So what happens sometimes, if for any server some error happens and still you don't want to stop your task, you want to continue or anything for proper error message or anything, what have you done in Ansible? So that we'll discuss. And then what have you the next question is, how have you done EKS cluster upgrade? So yeah, let's go. So guys, our first answer, that how to integrate Ansible to your application. So first is that what is our requirement? Like, if we want that our application is going to be deployed, and then we have to run the Ansible playbook. So then we can integrate it with a Jenkins CI/CD pipeline. So our Ansible playbook will be kept in a GitHub in our SCM tool, from where, why in our CI/CD pipeline we have to mention that after in our hooks, when we write the pipeline script, in hooks we have to mention that after installation this file should be picked up and it should be triggered. In this way, Ansible will be the command inside the Ansible playbook file will run after the application will be deployed. This is the one way. Second way is that application is already running and we have to trigger the Ansible playbook. So basically what we can do, one server will be a control node where Ansible will be installed. Correct. From there, we will write our playbook file, and from there we will trigger our Ansible playbook file. Correct. We can write a shell script for that, like this. There is also one way where we have to trigger it with using API. Fourth way is using Ansible Tower. So Ansible Tower is a web-based interface for this configuration management. So Ansible Tower has the REST APIs and everything. We can directly generate the token and we can use it. We can access it, and with the REST APIs we can do this easily. So yeah, these are the ways you have to do it. So you will explain this in this way, that we do it while deployment, we keep it in our SCM tool, and if afterwards any changes are required, we have to install Ansible in one of the server, and then we can try triggering the playbook from there and connecting the servers where we want to install or when we want to configure. the changes. So first is done. Next question is how to configure ingress. So as you know guys, for configuring ingress, there is an ingress controller and there are many popular ingress controller like nginx, HAProxy, Traefik. So this we need to install. First we need to install the ingress controller. And ingress is basically used for routing the app HTTP and HTTPS traffic, correct, to the services in our Kubernetes. And basically it is more cheaper than like external load balancers, because for all the services only one ingress is required. So that's why people prefer ingress over external load balancer. Okay, so for configuring the ingress, first we need ingress controller to be set up. Okay, we can install it using helm charts. So in helm charts, what we have to do, there are commands. So first command will be to add the like we have to install the chart, right, from the repository. From the helm repository we have to install the, and like suppose we are installing we are thinking to configure nginx. So use command helm repo add uh, in ingress nginx and then the url. From there we'll second will be helm repo update, and third will be helm install, then the name, and then the engine. Like I will give all these commands in the description section so that it is easy for you guys to refer. After nginx is done, second step will be to create an ingress resource. For that we will be writing the manifest file. That will be ingress.yml file. So in that we have to write the like API version, kind will be ingress, and metadata, and then our routing will be done. So the port we have to give, of which route, like the url from, like the for the url that we want to route. Okay, that we have to give. So that we will give in this there are two kinds of routing: host based routing and path based routing. So we have to give the host and to which service it has to be routed, okay, which port, so that you have to give. And then after that you have to set up the DNS. So to point the DNS has to the DNS, that URL that we want to route, that should point to the ingress controller IP. So ingress controller IP can be found out by kubectl get service -o wide. All these commands I'll give in description section so that it is easy for you all to refer. From there we can get the IP. Setting up the DNS, we have to go to our DNS provider like Route 53 if we are using, or whatever provider we are using. There we have to create a record, and there we can map this DNS with our ingress IP controller, and then we can test. And also the ingress IP controller should be accessible from outside the cluster. So for that we have to configure the load balancer or the node port. So basically ingress controller means nginx that we have installed, that should be accessible outside the cluster too, right? So for that we need to like create a service called of load balancer if we are using AWS or cloud platform, or node port if we are using a on-prem server, like on-prem environment. So to expose our ingress controller, so that it's accessible from outside. So yeah, that's it regarding the ingress controller. For all the steps I listed down. So next question is how to do error handling in Ansible. So basically error handling in Ansible can be done by using various ways. First is to use failed when. Like this is what you say, like we give in our Ansible playbook, we give host, become. So these are the keys. So failed underscore when, so we can give our message over there. First is this. Second is we can use ignore underscore error is equal to y, means even though error occur we have to continue our task. That is the second way. Third way is using rescue always. It is like a try catch block. Like we give it and try the our code which can generate an exception and catch to handle that exception. So same in rescue, will give a commands which can generate error, and how to handle them we can give in always. Second is when, to use when. Like in Ansible facts, when OS distribution is Debian, then do this. When OS distribution Ansible fair, when OS distribution is Linux, then do this. So in this way, use when. So these are the four things that we can use. Correct? Next question is disaster recovery. So basically, in disaster recovery, two key objectives are there. Okay, recovery time objective, recovery point objective. So recovery time objective is the longest time, the longest delay a business can tolerate when the disaster has occurred and when the services again started like working properly. So the delay that is there, the delay between the disaster that happened and the services again started working properly, that is called recovery time objective. So that should be where our goal should be, that it should be very less, right? Recovery point objective means the backup from the disaster has occurred now, and from which the backup, the latest backup that we have, that we resumed. So the point from which we have the latest backup, maybe we our backup was triggered 1 hour before and the disaster occurred, and it occurs after every 1 hour, correct? So in between the disaster has occurred, so that point, because our backup is 1 hour old, so that point the data we will lose, right? We'll do backup from that data that we have, the backup that we have, the latest backup, but it is 1 hour old. So that data that will we will lose, okay, that is should be very less. We should not lose any data. So our objective should be that recovery time objective should be very less, and recovery point objective should be also very less. Like we should not lose any data. We should keep these two pointers in our mind for the disaster recovery. So what happens, what we do, sometimes we create backups in multiple AZs, okay, availability zone, but again they are in the same region. Sometimes we create backups in different regions, so that is fine. If one region is down, other is there. Sometimes we do multiple regions, we do backup in different regions, but again the cost for this increases, correct? Because the cost will increase. Where are you placing your data, in which region are you placing your data? So the cheapest way is backup and restore. Like you do a backup and then you like the backup from that you restore. So it is a cheapest type of disaster recovery that you can do, but it can take so much time. Maybe backup it will take very long time. The expensive and the most fast disaster recovery is already your sites are in active state in various regions, even though, so it is already tested and they are working. If one region goes down, the other is active, traffic is routed to that region. So in this way, but again you assume how much will be the cost, that already your servers are running in active state. So you can tell that in our like when we do a disaster drill, so we try to use cheapest way, that is backup and restore. Already the backups we have scheduled for our Postgres database servers, and our logs and everything. From that only we try to create our scripts. We try to create our scripts, like the Terraform script that should be working properly. So we try to test them all so that in cheapest way and the lowest recovery time we can resume our services back. In this way you can tell. So for EKS cluster version migration, basically first of all, the first basic thing is to chalk out the plan, like what all addition, like what all upgrade is required, in which all like what all we have to upgrade, what all versions will be there, like what versions are compatible with this upgrade. We have to chalk out everything, and from where we have to start our upgrade. First, we are doing this. Second thing is that first we are taking the backups of everything, of the logs for everything, our data in etcd. Etcd is a kind of a database, so we have to take a backup for everything. After that, we should try, we have to uh, we have to update our kubectl eksctl. Then we try upgrading our control plane. Then we try upgrading our node groups. After that, checking the health and everything, we have to proceed, else we have to revert back. Then after that, we have to upgrade all our add-ons, all our schedulers, everything. After that, we have to go for once, like monitor for a few days. After you think that everything is working fine, then you delete the nodes. Like for that you use kubectl drain nodes and then delete the nodes. So this should be the process. And yeah, so everything that I have spoken out, guys, I will list it down in description section so that it is very easy for you all guys to remember what I have spoken in this video. So yeah, that's all for today's video. I hope it's helpful, and yeah, so bye.